The UFC Fight Night 248 between Petr Yan and Deiveson Figueiredo turned out to be a solid scrap that had fans on the edge of their seats. Both fighters exchanged heavy blows throughout the fight, showcasing their immense skill and grit. However, the 50-45 scorecard from the judges has sparked major controversy, with many fans and analysts calling it outright bizarre, considering how competitive the fight was. The close nature of the contest made it clear that neither fighter was clearly outclassed, but the scoring left a lot to be desired, adding to the tension and debate online. This matchup has become a key talking point in the MMA world, with people questioning not just the outcome, but the inconsistency in judging that led to such a perplexing result. The event, taking place in Macau, continues to stir reactions, proving that the fight left a lasting impression on everyone involved. Petr Yan was dominant for most of the fight against Figgy, outlanding the former flyweight champion in nearly every exchange. However, Figgy did manage to land some significant moments, including dropping Yan in the 4th round, which showed he still had plenty of fight in him. Despite these flashes of brilliance, Yan's striking and grappling were simply on point throughout the 25 minutes. By the end of the fight, it was clear that Yan had done more than enough to secure a unanimous decision victory, even though the 50-40 scorecard left many scratching their heads. Petr Yan called out Merab Dvalishvili for a rematch, despite suffering a one-sided beatdown from the current champion last year. Fans aren't too interested in this rematch, especially after seeing how Figgy repeatedly took him down across 5 rounds. Apart from that, there's no doubt that Yan just picked up a very high-profile win against the former champion. Longtime UFC commentator Jon Anik predicts how much money Jon Jones is requesting from the UFC in order to get into the octagon with Tom Aspinall. Jon Anik is one of several prominent UFC figures pushing for a Jones versus Aspinall fight to be scheduled in 2025. Although he probably doesn't have direct insight into the negotiations between Jones and the UFC, he has a strong sense of what Jones will likely ask from the promotion. Quote, "I do think it's going to happen. When you hear Jon Jones invoke the name Jake Paul, I think it tells you all you need to know. He just needs $20 to $25 million to show, and he's absolutely worth it, and I think they'll pay it. I can understand why Dana doesn't necessarily want to make Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira, but I just sometimes feel like Georges St-Pierre and Jon Jones are held to a different standard. A lot of people are saying Jon Jones was given an opportunity, and if you look back at the history, Jon Jones was given an opportunity because his teammate Rashad Evans was unable to make the walk. Given an opportunity at 23, I just think it's a little bit asking a lot, or lazy, to say that Jon Jones needs to provide this opportunity. In 2020, Jones asked for a similar payout to face then UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, but the two sides couldn't reach an agreement. Michael Bisping slams Jon Jones, accusing him of behaving like Jake Paul when it comes to handpicking his opponents. Bisping took aim at both Jones and Jake Paul, accusing them of carefully selecting opponents they believe are easy to beat. Jon can do whatever he wants, Bisping said on his Believe You Me podcast. My only issue is as a man, as a fighter, is him saying he doesn't have this obligation to fight these young, up-and-coming, hungry, dangerous guys that have an ability to beat him. I don't get that. That's what my problem is with Jake Paul. Fighting guys that he knows he can beat. Alex Pereira, he has a very blatantly obvious path to victory. He just took down Stipe, he took down Cyril Gunn, he will take down Alex Pereira. Would he be able to take down Tom? That's the question. That's the fight. That's what we want to see. Bisping was highly impressed by Jones's dominant performance at UFC 309. He now believes a fight between Jones and Tom Aspinall would be even more intriguing. However, his frustration is growing, as it appears Jones is avoiding a potential showdown with Aspinall. Bisping continued, "I've always said I think Tom would beat Jon, but when I was watching this Saturday night, I was like, Jon looks big, Jon looks fast, Jon looks like he's got the ability to go 5 rounds if he wants to or he needs to. I believe Jon would give him some problems. I believe that is a real fight that the world wants to see." The good news for Bisping and others who share his frustration is that Dana White, UFC president, has made it clear Jones won't be fighting Alex Pereira next. Dana has promised Tom Aspinall will get his title shot, despite Jones seeming to avoid the fight. That means Jones and Aspinall are likely to face off sometime in 2025. Russian MMA reporter Usha Taika recently held an interview with Razambek Jamalov, a distinguished wrestler from Dagestan who has competed at the highest levels of the sport, including the Olympic circuit, where he earned a gold medal. Jamalov was asked about the pictures that surfaced online last month, where Khamzat seems to be having trouble in a wrestling practice against him. First, Jamalov made sure to acknowledge Khamzat's strength and toughness to avoid coming across as disrespectful. However, moments later he made it clear that his own wrestling skills are on an entirely different level. He is physically strong, resilient. He was pretty good for an MMA fighter. I had trouble in MMA aspects of our training, for example in clinch, where he uses submissions to escape positions. However, when it comes to pure wrestling, I had a lot of success with double leg takedowns. We wrestled when Khamzat visited our gym in Dagestan, and every time I was at the gym, I gave him a lot of trouble, even in grappling, not just wrestling. To be honest, I'm now interested in a potential move to MMA. I didn't have this interest before, but after seeing some things, why not? While fans and analysts have been calling for a Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight, Daniel Cormier has weighed in with a different perspective. DC, who knows Jones well, argues that we may be asking too much from the current heavyweight champion. He points out that Jones just defeated Stipe, widely considered the greatest heavyweight of all time, and now people are pushing him to face Aspinall, a rising star. DC believes that Jones isn't avoiding the fight because of fear, but rather because he's being strategic, looking to ensure his legacy stays intact without unnecessary risks. He also suggests that Jones is negotiating for more money to make the fight happen. Jon Jones himself believes that no matter how many top-tier fighters he beats, there will always be the next contender waiting to challenge him. This cycle is a constant in combat sports, where the next rising star is always ready to step up, seeking to make a name for themselves by taking down the reigning champion. After Jones dominated Stipe, the call for him to fight Tom Aspinall only intensified. But even if Jones beats Aspinall, someone else will quickly be considered the next big test for his legacy. Jones thinks that it's a never-ending cycle where no victory, no matter how dominant, will ever fully silence the calls for another challenger. As DC points out, even though Jones has already achieved so much, people will continue to push for him to take on whoever's next, adding pressure to his already legendary career. Daniel Cormier made it clear that while he respects Tom Aspinall's skill, he wouldn't automatically say that Aspinall could beat Jon Jones. DC, who knows Jones better than most, reminded everyone that Jones remains undefeated. Even with the hype surrounding Aspinall, DC pointed out that no one has shown they can handle Jones's unique combination of striking, wrestling, and fight IQ. Aspinall is a great fighter, but DC believes we can't just assume he would beat Jones without seeing how the two would truly match up in the octagon. What do you think? Can the young talent in Tom Aspinall beat the legendary phenom Jon Jones? Leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe for daily MMA news.